Recording. Hey, welcome to the Good Morning Wake Up Show, Friday morning, April 3rd edition. And this is a show that's helping you cope through the current situation, which is a situation. And we're now in week 3 of isolation. And you know, I don't watch the news. If I do, it's maybe for 3 to 5 minutes. Right. And from what I'm getting, it's not getting better yet. And so we just got to keep it real, people. And on this show, we have 3 really good guests that are going to help you through this a little bit better. And we have Shakera Martin, who is a dancer and owns a dance troupe company called Carnival Spice. She's also an actor. You might have seen her on a Auto Trader commercial. And then I laughed when I saw that. And then we have Marilu Tapia to talk about gratitude. Shakira is going to talk about her wellness initiative. And then we have former CFL football player Ken Evraire, formerly with Hamilton in Ottawa, talking about grief and loss. And this is when his career came to an end. Suddenly with his second knee injury. So we got a really good show for you today. It'll give you tips and ways to cope and to say, hey, you know what, I'm not alone with what I'm going through. And that's what we're here for. So welcome, Shakira. She's a dancer, performer, fitness and body movement teacher. She is a inspiring woman, a business owner, and I'm going to say you do a little speaking too, right? So, yeah.
Yes, technically.
You emceed an event. So
yes.
How are you managing? How are you managing through all?
I think that's the word, managing, right? My focus has just been to keep my spirits up, stay healthy, utilize the time that I've been blessed with. I call it a blessing. I'm trying to look past the negative news and, of course, the pandemic that's going on. Mm-hmm. But yes, I'm managing.
Now you've, your business is definitely one of those that's been impacted by this.
Absolutely.
Counterbalance, the dance is done in person, right? So what are you doing to maybe counterbalance the changes that you've gone through?
Well, that's the thing, right? So a huge part of my business, Carnival Spice, relies on people gathering together. So 98% of my contracts for the near far future have been canceled. And in that state, like I've had to come out of my position of disappointment or sadness and fear, and like think about my clients. Like I have brides that have been planning their weddings for months, and large scale events that I know there's so much details that go into organizing these things, and so forth. And my community members, we have this Spice Fam community who meets up weekly, daily, monthly, depending on what program or event they're connected with under Carnival Spice. Yeah. All of those have been canceled, right? So we definitely had to pivot the business to ensure that, the engagement is still existing, the community is still existing, and you don't need that to be done in person, right? That is something that can be done virtually. I will say a positive of COVID for my business is that we've been planning to do virtual programming anyway. That was our number one goal for 2020. What has happened is the immediate need for it now. It's less of this is what we want to do, but this is what we have to do. And we've been maintaining or managing, as we talked about earlier, through hosting virtual dance parties, live workouts and workshops. We have a Facebook community where anyone is welcome to join that's interested in wellness and carnival and vibes is a big one. And there we motivate each other on a one-to-one basis. So yeah, again, managing and being creative and being thoughtful, I think, is another big thing that's important during this time, because like I said, yes, I'm going through hardship, but you know, I'm healthy. I'm surrounded by family during this quarantine and self-isolation period. Um, yes, my income has suffered dramatically, but you know, from past behaviors, I've been able to prepare for something like this a little bit better. So
Yeah.
management is necessary.
Management is, and also being thankful for what is and being in the moment too, right?
Yes,
How
yes.
important is that, for your mental wellness right now? Just being in the moment of it. Not, I find when I get too far ahead or I start to think of the future, I worry more. And then it's like, wait a minute, that hasn't happened yet, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the management of again our mental wellness, I think, is number one. The physical, we only have so much control, especially if we're speaking specifically to COVID. Uh, it's the symptoms you can't really detect early on. It's not something that you can spot and run away from, right? It's just happening to people. So it's really the mental wellness is the number one thing that we have control over, or we can make efforts to improve and strengthen during this time, because there's so many challenges, and that's the first place it's going to hit our minds.
Oh, yeah.
And the side effects are extreme, from depression to anxiety to increased stress levels. And for many people, they're in positions where they're caretakers, right? And if you're not okay, how are you supposed to be taking care of your family,
Right. And
your businesses?
I was watching online Mel Robbins, who is the author of a book called the 5 Second Rule. Among
Okay.
others, she's a really well-known speaker and coach out of the States, and she's been doing daily live YouTubes. And today she
I love it.
had Dr. Ramani on to talk about living with a narcissist. Can you imagine? Yee, right? How do you cope with that? Well, it's yeah.
Stay in another room.
You have to. So,
Go outside by yourself.
I'm really sick. So I joke, but really, it's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and get that guest, Dr. Ramani, on next week. So
Amazing.
how are your peers handling this? Because you just said that you're doing weddings and people's weddings are being canceled, and our big plans, and here we are in April now, and spring, and where things come alive and people come alive. Yet, no, we're
Yeah, we don't know where people are coming up because
well,
we're all in our
that,
houses, our
yeah.
home. Majority of us are in our homes.
So
How are my peers doing? Well, I'm grateful for some really great friends who have called. I know calling is important now, right? Not just a text or a Facebook or Instagram message or DM or whatever. Calls are important, and they've had so much impact on me, getting personal phone calls to check in, see how I'm doing. For the most part, everyone is managing, adjusting to, routines and comforts getting stripped away, loss of income, restricted access to daily places and things, and the risk and the fear of possibly contracting COVID, right? Like that's like something that hovers around a lot of people's minds. So we just really, when we speak, we just uplift each other, suggest ideas that can either add value to our personal life or our businesses. Yeah, that's I would say the gist of our conversations. Especially my friends with kids. I always try to like give ideas of activities for them, because that's a whole other world. All the students not being in school right now.
Oh, I know.
Man, like it's just like when I heard about it, because of my personal experience, like the day before the lockdowns were announced, I had just secured a contract with a school to offer programming in school. So that was another goal of mine for the year with my company. And we were so close. So it's just, adjusting to that disappointment and that hurt, and understanding that safety's first. So if I really want to do something like that, there's so many opportunities now, especially with the virtual world being the number one go-to. I just have to look at different ways to offer my programming and connect with the youth and the children that I so want to work with more often.
Well, talking about little kids, you have a little nephew. What
Yeah,
he
we're
asking?
quarantining together.
Yeah, great. Cool. That's cool. He's at least you look at some cool guy. But what's he asking?
Very,
You know, what's he wondering? What this is? Like? What's he saying?
what's going on with him? I know, right?
Yeah.
So he's 7.
Yeah.
Um, and surprise, like he's in general a cool kid. um, so I will be honest, what has been keeping him going is these TikTok dances. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I have a dance background, but I'm not into it mainly because of what I said earlier. I don't like learning dance from TVs and
Yeah.
screens and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's living his best life, learning all these dances. His mom is ensuring schoolwork is done at certain parts of the day, really trying to not really put him in a tight schedule, but still ensuring throughout the day that value-based skills and information is inputted into his day. But he's cool as a cucumber.
We could
He
learn
gets to
from the
go
kids.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that spirit in the home is so valued,
Yeah.
because it makes things less heavy. You
Yeah.
know, I will say it's a lot harder to manage work. Um, Auntie, can you do this? Auntie, can we do that? Auntie, can we do this? So that's the hard part to adjust to, but he's great. He's great.
That's good to hear. You have to turn the tables maybe a little bit. Get him to do some work. For you, your business. You know, can you make calls? Can you do filing? Right.
I've thought of that because his age is a little trickier. He's gotten a lot more mature in the last 2.5 weeks,
Okay.
but I'm still not there yet to facilitate conference calls. He'll probably be able to facilitate some classes, so that's a hope.
Hey, there you
Within the
go.
next 3 months, we could do a little, not mommy and me, but like just some more youth-based workshops with him involved, because
Yeah,
he has his own little choreography too. So
that would be
it's
great.
really cool.
See, it's
Yeah,
just an idea. So mental
absolutely.
health, has come into play for you. I know you expressed that on Facebook. You're going a little rangy the other day. And so
Yeah.
you started on Facebook a 20-day mental health challenge. Talk to us about this. What's it all about, Shakira?
Absolutely. So I do have a blog. It's simplyshakira.com/blog, where I just share experiences as a woman of color in the fitness and arts industry, local, and an entrepreneur. I share a lot of my experiences there. And just with everything going on, March was a very tough month for a lot of people. And with the rise of a new month and a new quarter upon us, I decided to blog about my 20-day mental wellness challenge that I generally have available on my website throughout the year, to really shift the energy a little bit for everybody. I shared a lot of the challenges that I was going through and the changes that I've had to make on the spot. But literally on the last day of March, I experienced loss with a colleague in the industry, in the entrepreneurship world, which was very hard, and it wasn't COVID related. So that was emotional. And I was just encouraged to share the challenge with folks. And what it entails, I created a worksheet that has 20 different tasks, very simple tasks, very personal tasks, where I'm asking folks to schedule one of the tasks to complete each day, to really help set an intention of self. We get lost in all of the noise and the chaos of the world, but hey, how about we just dedicate at least one thing every day for the next 20 days to like jumpstart a momentum of positivity, and to really dedicate some time to ourselves. Yeah.
Even something as basic as have a shower is a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Put clothes.
Brush your teeth, comb your hair. Like today, I put on. I don't know if you can put on a little lipstick for you, David.
Oh.
You know, that was just probably haven't had lipstick on in like 3 weeks. So.
Yeah, and here too, by the way.
No, my hair always looks like this because I cut it recently, so
yeah, no, I
quite
love,
cooperative.
I love the new. So,
and I'm one of the lucky ladies that didn't have like shellac nail polish on, so my nails look pretty decent, I guess, for camera.
a couple of years ago, I invested in a razor. So I cut my own hair. I don't have to go to the
See, preparing. What did they say? Planning to what? Failure to plan is
yeah,
planning to fail.
yeah. Or just good to be prepared. So if you were to share some mental health strategies and ideas, what are 3 things we could do and incorporate in our day-to-day lives?
3 things. I'm like, oh, there's so many.
Well, okay, 3 to 5.
One. Oh no, I'll do three. Three to five. Okay. Well, for one, I would say reading, and not just an audible or digital book. Especially if you have a lot of free time, I encourage reading, something to just not distract, but give you a refocus from your screen that you're normally sitting in front of, or the noise of the world. Just take moments of time to just sit and be still. If you're not an avid reader, you can opt for writing. Writing is also very important to connect your inner thoughts with your outer projections.
Right.
Whether it's writing gratitude item, things that you're thankful for, whether it's journaling and writing out your thoughts, feelings, or goals for a certain period of time,
Yeah.
or even just getting that pen writing and drawing, doodling, something to that puts the technology down for a moment and allows you to just connect with self. Number 2, I'm gonna say this just based off of last month or the last few days, really, and identifying a super important need for it. I would say scheduling time to do X being whatever it is. I know a lot of our routines are shifted. If you've already worked from home or you have a home-based business, your routine might not have shifted as much, but the rules of your life have shifted a lot. So that definitely affects your mental health. It's super important to create some kind of either schedule or creating time blocks of positive things or non-negotiables, whether it's that shower, whether it's a meal, whether it's writing, whether it's playing a fun activity with your spouse or your kids or a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3, I would say that should have been number 1. Devoting some form of time, 30 minutes is a minimum. Devoting some time to your spirituality, your inner self, whether it's through meditation or prayer, depends on your belief system, but either or, definitely dedicating time to being still,
Yeah.
breathing. I would even go up a notch if on top of dedicating time to your spiritual self, your physical self, getting a workout in, moving to some degree. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot, and I'm so grateful for my fellow instructors and teachers and so forth, offering countless amounts of workshops and free programming online for people to just access and learn, to encourage and uplift your spirits.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
Any resources we can tap into, like mental health resources that you recommend?
Mental health resources.
Definitely take part of your 20.
Well, for sure, I would encourage everyone to download my wellness my mental health wellness challenge worksheet, which is clearly a mouthful. And I would love to hold you accountable. If you're on social media and you want to participate, please tag me at Simply Shakira, so I could check in with you and see how you're doing. The challenge isn't meant to stress you out or make life difficult for you. It's just, again, to uplift you and allow you to help set intentions for your day. I know we want to diminish our screen time a little bit throughout the day, but
Yeah.
there's so much free information online, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google, and just ask for what you're looking for. Ask for what you need. You'll be surprised what a Google search will give you.
Yeah.
Ways to different free meditation seminars, free workouts. My company Carnival Spice, we've been doing live workouts and workshops on our Instagram pages and dropping dance challenges for people to just have fun. If maybe, you know, working out isn't your number one priority right now in terms of like weight loss perspective, and you just want something to do that's fun and engaging, there's so many different resources online that you can definitely search, whether it's dance based, fitness based, cooking classes, art classes, things to do with your kids. Just really take that initiative. I know it's hard for some people just with the pressures of the world weighing on our shoulders. You know, it's not just the Shakira thing, it's not just the David thing, it's the world. The world is experiencing this, but we're experiencing it together. So let's lean on each other, support each other, share information, check in, and again, continue to lead with kindness.
Yeah, I love that. Where do we reach you to work with you? We just saw Carnival Spice.
Yeah, Carnival Spice is my company, but if you want to get in touch with me directly, my email is info@simplyshakira.com and Simply Shakira across all social media platforms.
All right.
And that's Shakira with an E. I know everyone confuses me with the singer who spelled her name with an I, but my name is Shakera.
So beautiful to have you. And you know our next guest here, Marilu, and you,
yes.
Hey, talking about our, you know, amping up on our spiritual practices. We met at Elevation, right? So
right.
Kind of
you know, a lot of churches are doing well, Elevation has always been doing that, but a lot of churches are really pushing their virtual sessions or mass or scriptures and all of that jazz. So definitely.
And a synagogue
look into
I used to belong to in Durham region is doing it online on Saturday too. So
see, right, a lot of organizations that you weren't expecting, have to adjust.
Yeah. Whoop, we just lost Shakira.
Whoa.
Okay, there.
No, we're back.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Whoops. See what happens when I'm touching things I'm not supposed to say. Yeah, a lot of organizations and companies have to adjust to the climate and a lot of government laws, right? So the information is there for us to access.
Yeah, thank you for this. I'm gonna just throw over to Marilu. If you want to stay. If you got to go.
All right. Yes, I have to go prepare dinner, so I will be running out. But thank you so much for having me, David.
Shakira, all the best.
All right, be well, and we'll talk soon. We're gonna have a coffee date, okay?
You got it.
Virtual coffee date.
You got it. For now. I hope soon we meet for real.
Absolutely. All righty. Cheers.
That was Shakera Martin joining us from her home office in Mississauga, I believe. And our next guest is Marilu Tapia. She's a coach, a Reiki practitioner, a former restaurant owner, and she was working in the food service sector until stuff happened. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever. How are you today?
Hello, David and everyone. How are you? I'm good. Adjusting to the new normal.
New normal. So that was my first question. How have you adjusted? I just saw a report about restaurants today that, the sector's just been totally decimated. And, we just talked to Shakira about her company and her business kind of, but we're kind of managing, we're okay, we're being taken care of somehow, So how have you adjusted to all this?
Yeah, a lot of restaurants and people in the food industry definitely are adjusting. Some of them are at home. Depends, on the type of service they used to give. I think a lot of changes. So I was just talking to some of co-workers or people that I know in the industry as well, and they're just keeping the minimum workers, just the frontline workers, and they're just being laying off the rest, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. Now, one thing I've noticed about you and our work together, Marilu, is you see things half full. So what do you see maybe out of all this in the food service sector, for example, or in your own life? What's the opportunity here in the mess for you? What's the opportunity for you?
Um, yeah, like as much as I wanted to say, oh, like everything is gonna be back the same, everything is just gonna go back to normal. Honestly, what I see happening is a lot of people just definitely considering what they really want to do. Servers, cooks. We unfortunately we get paid like minimum wages. It's not, unless you are in a really like high position, then you will get a really good amount of money, a good income. But realistically, as much as we love the art of food, the reality is like it's hard work, it's intense work, it's a need. Definitely, we like what would we do with no like people cooking or serving our food, right? Like what would we do? Like forget about the special events or weddings and all those things that they're really nice. So um I see definitely people searching like deeper connection to what their true like selves are and what they really want to do. Like this is a chance, like, okay, I don't have this anymore, so what else is aligned with what I really want to do? So I see a lot of opportunities coming up as new jobs, new like doors opening, and this is what I see. Like a lot of business, unfortunately, are gonna be like really like hard to go back again. It's gonna be hard for them to go back, but a lot of them is just they're gonna slowly do the progress.
So
Yeah.
you've gone into something new. You're opening up your own coaching practice. So do you see this change, this pause as an opportunity for you to explore that more and to really engage in this new direction? Is this like, do you see that? Are you seeing that for yourself?
I very much. I was actually thinking this morning before all this happening. I was actually complaining on how busy I am, and actually on the phone I was talking to you about it, like how busy I am. I can't keep up with, like I gotta do this. I have, with work. It was just like get up in the morning, go to work, and then come back and trying to keep up of what is it that I want to write down for my social media or for like the coaching business. It was really hard. I was complaining, and so now that is being taken away. I can go back to work right now to the restaurant, right? Everything is closed, or most of them are closed. So it's like, what other excuse do I have? Like this is what is happening to me is real. So yes, I'm taking advantage of it, and like yeah, I can't complain. Like I see a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and one of the things you've done, one of the initiatives is you started a gratitude workshop online on Facebook. How's that coming, and how is gratitude helping you cope, and how is it helping those that are coming on your daily Zoom gratitude Zoom calls? How's it helping?
Mm-hmm. If anything, I'm really excited, and I see like um, as well a need of all of us. It's not like that everything is changing like on a like on a like 1 2 3, yeah, changed, is done, is
Yeah.
I wish we had a wand. But what it definitely changes are the glasses, right? Like it's kind of like trying to see everything through this, and then when you put the gratitude lenses on, just like enhance what is there, what is happening. So one of the benefits of gratitude are like increases your coherence of your body, like your function, your brain actually function in a better way. Like it helps you to sleep, lose weight, your mood like gets better, increases your resilience. Right now we definitely need resilience. um, and something that really I found fascinating is that increases your social connection. So they did like a studies on with MRIs, and they found that the part of the body that like lights up when you're receiving a reward, so it's the same part of the brain when we express gratitude to somebody. But not only that, also that increases the connections, the part of the connection of the body, I mean the brain, that it needs empathy with the other person. So actually, you can feel and understand better the other person. So I'm really happy with this, and the results that people are just in the challenge, right? Like they're seeing opportunities.
You know, I was
Out of
watching
the
a video today, and she talked about we really have to be patient with ourselves because everybody's going through it. Because and our next guest is here, Ken Evraire, and we're going to talk about loss and grief and change. And we're all going through that, right, collectively, pretty well. You know, there are some people that are working, but we've lost the ability to, I don't know, go to a movie tonight, right? I can't come over and visit you and Stefan, right? So we've lost that, but then, you know, we've lost work or lifestyle or the things we used to do, or, you know, you know, so there's so much loss. But so what she was saying is really important now to be really good to ourselves, but also really be kind and gracious and loving to other people right now, because you don't know what they're going through, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So this gratitude challenge, it's on for a couple more days, and you're going to redo it?
Correct. Tomorrow's the last day. Like I just divided into like, what is your gratitude on your health? What's your gratitude on the aspect of your career? Next day we go on that would be the third day. On what's the gratitude on your relationships, and the fourth one would be your like money. You know, like gratitude on money. I know like everything right now is mixed up, but it's still we can see that we're not lost. You know, not everything is lost. We still have things to hang on and say, okay, I can give thanks for this.
Yeah, for your gifts, your talents, your experience.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I think moving forward, we're all going to have to contribute, and I think we're going to have a bit of a different system. And I think it's going to be more a different system where I'd like to see equal for all, you know?
yeah.
Where do we reach you to sort of tap into you and connect with you about your work as a coach, and also you do energy work and body work and then the gratitude? Where do we connect with you?
Yeah. Well, social media, on Facebook, I am on Good Growth. And then on Instagram, Coach Marilu Tapia. And yeah, like my email is marilutapia04@gmail.com. Like you can just like reach me any of those platforms. And I'm doing this like free. Again, next week is gonna be in Spanish for like the people that know Spanish, and the following week I'm gonna go back to English, and yeah, just emote, extend, and exercise gratitude.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I thank you for this. I'm grateful for you today.
Thank you.
Take care. You can stay if you want for our next interview. And our next guest is here. And I'm thrilled to have Ken Evraire. He's a former CFL football player with the Ottawa Rough Riders, one of my favorite teams, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's the quintessential team player. He loves coaching, team building, talking leadership. Dude, you're a man after my own heart. He's grateful for the opportunity to work with a roster of good clients ranging from the government sector to nonprofit agencies, startups, Fortune 500 companies, and elite sports teams. He's also father to 3 precocious children, probably driving you a little crazy right now. He's got the best ex-wife in the world, a former professional football player that has since donated his brain for, I guess, research on concussions, right? I would imagine. And he's ran 3 marathons, Honolulu twice, good choice, and Barcelona. And you do stand-up comedy, and he believes that the old school coach was wrong, that there is an I in team. Welcome.
David, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you today. So, and you did it last minute. So, so many of us, Ken, are dealing with grief and loss. And in a very compelling article, and I commented on it when you posted it at the end of February on Facebook,
Right.
you wrote back then that you had your own bout with grief and loss and depression. And the article is called Dancing with My Devil. So who is Devil, Ken?
Well, the devil is what oftentimes we perceive ourselves through the eyes of people around us. And we have a natural inclination. I think the human spirit is very charitable and very loving, very caring, to a point where sometimes we sacrifice ourselves for the greater good of what other people think, and we want to play a certain role. And what happens is when you're dancing with the devil, you end up getting real comfortable with the dance step. You don't maybe subconsciously realize that first, but eventually you get so good at it that you become sort of the Arthur Murray of dancing with the devil, and you're great at it, but it's backwards because it's not something you want to excel at. And it connected to my story of when I left professional football. I grew up in a very athletic family. My dad played pro baseball. He played for the Cincinnati Reds and Philadelphia Phillies in the minor leagues. My mom was a good athlete. My sisters were great athletes. My younger brother is actually the best athlete in the family. I was probably middle of the range as far as the athletes in my family. I just, some reason, decided to work awfully hard at being a hockey player and a football player and a baseball player. Football sort of ended up being the choice I had taken. But once you play football all your life and you get to a certain point, it's not fun anymore. And it wasn't fun for me. It was very much a business. It was very competitive. And to go in every day and knowing that you had to compete for your job, they say you have 50,000 thoughts in your day, and you're running through your mind in a day. Some say it's 100,000, but let's say 50,000. If it's based on 50,000 thoughts in a day and you look at a year, that's 24.3% of your time at work. But in football, it's more than a 40-hour work week. It's a 24/7 work week because you're worried about the guy who's going to try to tear your head off on Saturday. You're worried about the guy who's trying to take your job. You're worried about making sure the coaches are happy. You can have 100 plays that go great, but the one play you screw up means you lose a job. And so I got real comfortable with dancing with the devil to stay in the game. And that meant 5 knee surgeries, 2 ankle surgeries, all the stuff. One time I went across the middle in Vancouver, and based on all the variables as a receiver, I knew I was going to get the ball, and I knew that I had a chance to maybe score a touchdown. I read the scenario wrong, and when I caught the ball and turned, rather than look to see the free safety 10 yards away from me, all I remember were a set of brown eyes right in front of me. And when I woke up on the turf, the doctor's looking down at me, and I asked him what happened. He says, "You got hit." And I said, "No shit, I got hit. But what happened?" He says, "You broke your nose, a couple of teeth through your lip, separated shoulder, and a concussion." And in a weird way, it felt great because in that alpha state of mind I was in playing football, it was a better to burn out than fade away mentality. So whatever came through playing tackle football, I was okay with. And that was part of my dance with the devil. And when I left football, when I finally left football, I remember sitting down, I'd get a piece of paper, and I was going to build my resume. And you get your piece of paper and your name, your title, and all the stuff you're going to put on your resume. And I realized that the only companies that I was going to be able to work for would have been companies looking for a guy who can catch a football on second down in the red zone with everybody watching, and we need 10 yards.
Yeah, not a lot in demand. So what did the devil work so hard to have you believe, Ken, about yourself?
Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I prepared for today.
I just love the idea of work. When I played, in what I do today, everything I do today is really about, I never take for granted my talent. Everybody has talent. But I always really enjoyed being the guy who, you looked at a team picture, a photo of a team, you say, okay, who would have went pro, do you think? And everybody always picks up the natural athletes. I was a pretty good athlete, but I loved to work. I really did.
Your devil didn't have your back.
No.
Or quarterback in this case. Share your journey as to what happened during the game where you heard a pop, and that was it. And that wasn't your first knee injury.
That was another injury.
Throwing the ball to you, and that really was the end.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, every football player has that moment where things go direly wrong out there on the field, and I've been knocked out. I've torn rib curls, all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that you always fear as an athlete is a knee injury. And psychologically, I was already sort of had one foot out of the game, thinking about life beyond the game. And I was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and we went to Toronto to play the Argos in the Sky Dome. And there's a great receiver who played for Saskatchewan in Toronto. His name was Jeff Fairholm. Mm-hmm. And Jeff and I were in the same draft class. So we knew each other well enough. And I saw him before the game, before we went out for a warm-up, and he had a big knee brace on. And the mental mess that put me through carried on to the game. I had an average warm-up. I didn't feel completely comfortable. And in the game, I caught a couple of passes, running routes that I've run a million times, and I struggled catching the ball. And I remember going back to the huddle after one of those plays, telling myself, thinking the mental talk, get your head out of your backside before someone kills you out here. And so I got to the huddle, and Reggie Slack, our quarterback, calls a play. And based on all the information that's pre-snap and what's about to happen, I have a pretty good idea that I'm going to get a ball. And I decided I'm going to run the very best hook route I've ever run in my life, and I did. I could never run that route any better than that moment. And I turned, and the seas had parted, and Reggie Slack was looking at me 15, 20 yards away from me, threw a perfect pass right between the numbers. And as I caught the ball and I planted, my knee hyperextended and blew. And in that moment, I knew that things had changed dramatically. I knew that this was more than just an injury that I'd get back 3 to 6 weeks from. This was going to be a big one. And when they diagnosed the knee, that I blown up my ACL, I remember they put me on the gator, the transport to take you off the field. Mm. And in that moment, when I looked over to the bench, all my teammates, all my fellow Warriors, there was already that distance between the two of us, between all of us and myself. And I knew that I was a fallen soldier. And then when you're a battle of war now, it's football. It's not war. It's not life and death, but you get this mindset that it is war. And you're either a commodity or a liability.
Yeah.
And if you're injured, you're a liability. You can't do much for the team.
Yeah.
And you never visit guys in the hospital when they have knee injuries. Shoulder injury, sure. Maybe a concussion, sure. Some injuries, yeah. But a knee injury, you don't go near. Because if it gets into your head, if it can happen to him, it can happen to me. And you need to have this false sense of security, this invincibility to survive the sport.
Yeah.
But it was also a good thing because I left the game. But then I realized from an identity standpoint, I was so wrapped up in being a football player that when I left the game, I had to go back to the game and dance with that devil I knew. Rather than dance with the devil I didn't know, which was the future, the unknown. And right. That's why I went back, because it's almost like you hear about those abusive relationships. And people say, well, why do people go back to abusive relationships? It's because they're dancing with the devil they know.
Better than the one you don't. There's a quote in your article that
yeah.
It's a fine line that separates courage and obsession.
Yeah.
What was that line for you?
Well, again, it goes back to the idea of confidence and believing what you believe. And again, 50,000 thoughts in a day, whatever the number is going to be. And how we're able to navigate those thoughts and direct the traffic is so important to our success. Because in the morning when we wake up, and people don't realize it, but we either consciously or subconsciously always ask ourselves this is the very first question when we wake up. And it's, are we in our right time in our right place? Right? Because you wake up and you're putting your clothes on, you get ready for your day, and you're going to a job maybe you hate, maybe you're in a relationship you're not really feeling comfortable in anymore. Things change. Nothing is constant. There's never ever that home run, and all of a sudden life is easy afterwards. Ask anybody who won a lottery. And ask them, hey, you must be living it pretty easy winning a lottery, 5.5 million. I know 5 lottery winners. And there are days where they've said, I kind of wish I hadn't won, because life got awfully complicated. And so how we navigate our thoughts and how we start our day, and are we in our right place in the right time? I was there in football for the longest time, and getting hit and getting the crap kicked out of me, I was okay with. But there was a moment somewhere along the way when my body and my mind said, that suit doesn't fit you anymore. Time to change your wardrobe. But again, you get so caught up and connected to that role, that place you're in for so long. The idea of going and changing clothes, you're far more comfortable wearing something that's out of style but still fits you.
It's funny, you said in your article that you were thinking already of life after football.
Yeah.
And here you are, you're on this, getting surgery done, your second knee surgery, and you were really forced to think of life after football. And as you already alluded to, you know, life after football for you, you know, it was really hard to apply to a company that's looking for a wide receiver, you know, Canadian-born, non-import. So how did you deal with this sudden death, pardon the expression, I don't mean a playoff game, of life and work as you knew it, Ken? How did you deal with that?
I looked around me and I fell into the trap of trying to find satisfaction and fulfillment based on what other people were doing. So I ended up signing up to take a computer programming course at the local college here in town in Ottawa.
Algonquin.
And it was actually CDI College.
Oh, okay.
Right downtown.
Yeah.
There's nothing about me that knows computer programming. There's nothing about me that enjoyed computer programming, but I was going to change clothes, right? I was going to go to the closet and change, new direction, everything else. And everybody else was doing it. And so I followed suit. And the trap there is, one, you lose your uniqueness because you're doing something, again, you don't want to do that everybody else is doing. And it ended up costing me, $17,000 because that's the course, right? And the whole bit. And near about the midway point when I realized it wasn't going as well as I had, I got a call from Don Southern, who was then the coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And he asked me if I could still play. And I lied my ass off and said, yes.
Oh, no.
And I went back. And I was a mere shadow of the player I was. But I went back to dance with that devil that I knew because we were doing a really good two-step. We were really good dancing together. And I tried to capture lightning in a bottle again.
Man, how long did it take you then to slowly recreate yourself?
It took me about 1.5 years. And then I ended up auditioning, doing a demo for the local TV station because I knew that they were looking for a sports guy. And I knew they were changing their format similar to the City TV's format in Toronto where Jim McKinney was doing sports there. And I had done my grade 13 in Toronto, so I was familiar with the style. And I did my demo. I didn't think it was very good, but it felt like there was something worth pursuing and spending my time on. And so I made an appointment with the sales director and to maybe join the sales team because I didn't think I'd do very well. And then the station manager walked in and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I didn't think I did very well, but I'll take the long route around the block to get to where I need to go." And he says, "You weren't that bad, but what we'll do is we'll work at it." And that's all I need to hear. And I became that same Canadian receiver in training camp who had to learn from Ray Elgard and all those great receivers that I met along the way to become competent. I know I believe it was Connor that mentioned the 4 stages of learning and unconscious incompetence yesterday and conscious competence. And that's essentially, that's what everybody goes through when you have to learn something new to hone your craft. And I was in a position where I wanted to really hone my craft and become competent at what I was doing. And it worked out well because I did it for 11 years.
Wow. And was that at the new CHRO?
That was a new RO, CHRO. And then eventually I did some work for CTV and fortunate, perhaps one of the best teams I've ever been a part of. A great team of people because they were all young, coming out of school and figuring out their way and competing with the giant here in town, which was CTV and Max Keeping and that team.
Yes.
And it was a David and Goliath battle, and we loved every moment together.
Now you said I kind of glossed over this, and I want to go back to it. You said you went back to football after your second knee surgery, and you played.
I did.
How long did that last? And
I actually know it. The funny thing is, I had a total of 5 knee surgeries. I had the major repair, and then I built scar tissue up, so they went in 4 more times. This again, my desperate need to get back to where I thought I would be okay when I was just jumping back into the fire pit. 5 knee surgeries, 1 failed relationship, bad relationship, guy-girl stuff. And I just was desperate to, again, connect somewhere along the way where I can wake up in the morning and go, and I feel some semblance of value. And so I went back. And again, I was nowhere close to being as good as I thought I was. And then the next year I signed to play here for Ottawa with Gurney Henley, who was my coach in Hamilton. He was GM here in Ottawa at the time and paid me a nice chunk of change and I think he wanted more of a guy in the locker room, a leader versus the player that I used to be. And it was a good way for me to close my career.
So at least you went out with some dignity.
Yeah.
but eventually it did come to, sort of to a close. What did you learn about yourself, Ken, en route to a new you?
What I learned is that we all have this ability to adjust, to transition, to adapt, and to overcome. The number one thing you have to do is, one, trust that you can do it. If we couldn't do it as a species, we wouldn't be in the position where we are today. Somebody else would be king of the land, king of the globe. We have an innate passion, desire to strive, to compete, to collaborate, to communicate. And a lot of stuff I learned in football, I really wasn't able to quantify until I left football. And I realized that I learned a lot of things through football that will make me successful to this day.
Yeah.
And the idea of the old school coach was wrong. The old school coach would scream, jump, and everybody had to say how high. And that was reflective of sort of pre-70s type coaching, or even 70s coaching, where the coach was never wrong. But in business and industry, specifically more towards software and the technological side of things, there was a shift from leadership from, you have this triangle sort of setup where you had the CEO, the omnipotent one on top of the triangle, and a decree would come down, and everybody will just follow the decree, whether it made sense or not. But then there was an evolution in terms of leadership. There are more voices at the table. Doesn't mean we're going to use every idea that's shared at the table, but the more voices you have, the more opportunities you can to figure out solutions. It's letting other people look at the map. And I realized through football that I had learned how to read the map. I learned how to lead. I learned how to coach through great coaches and great leaders, and through bad coaches and bad leaders as well.
Yeah. I won't get into who is bad and who is good, but I'm from Ottawa originally, and now in Toronto.
Yep.
And I used to work out at Good Life at Pinecrest. And I would run into George Brancato quite often.
Yeah, George would be there. I'd see him there. And Ace Powell would work out there.
Oh, yeah. Ace, he was our coach at Robert Borden.
Yeah.
I went to high school. So there are a lot of people that are going through loss and changing their careers. How would you coach them to sort of keep it together and look at this sort of loss maybe as an opportunity to recreate? Well, how would you coach, somebody watching right now going through, I just lost my job?
Well, at first, my first thought is that it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
It's not easy sort of letting go. It's not easy saying, okay, time to rewrite or redefine who we are. You hear that? I often hear that. Gee, Ken, you really did a great job redefining yourself. I really didn't redefine myself. What I did was I grew. And to grow, what you have to do is, one, be willing to step out of that place you were and that transition. William Bridges has a great book called Transitions. It's making sense of sort of life and life's changes. And for something to change, for you to do something new, something has to die. And you have to let it go. And it's the toughest thing you can do sometimes because you feel like you're stepping out from a comfort zone onto a high wire. And you have to remind yourself and realize that you already have the skills. There are some great coaches and great speakers out there, and they've been doing it for years. And essentially what they've done is make a living, reminding people that we already have this innate ability to do what we do, to move on to something else, to get past our first love, to get past that tough job, that great job we had that we lost, or a failed business, or whatever it's going to be. It's tough, but the ability to shed and not carry it with you. It's tough to fly with a piano on your back. And I've learned that, especially from football and even from my parents. My dad came from a family of 10 brothers and 1 sister. And my mom came from a family that didn't have a whole lot. And when my dad signed to play baseball and go down to Florida, and there he is with Pete Rose and Richie Allen and these type of athletes at camp, he's just a kid from Canada who can throw a ball hard, and got homesick. And they flew my mom down there to spend time with him. It was his girlfriend at the time, and they got married in Tampa. And for them to live together, she had to dye her hair blonde because my mom's mulatto. My grandfather is black. And they overcame a lot and transitioned, had to let a lot of stuff go. They had a loyalty to their neighborhoods, But for them to survive, they had to let a lot of stuff go. For them to be able to parent and break the cycle of some of the bad parenting they got to become the great parents they are today, they had to transition and let some stuff go.
And what about we have to let go, but we also have to go through a process of mourning. And did you do that in your own transition?
Yeah.
As well?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There were nights where it was pretty dark. And you start questioning who you are and what you believe in and doubting. And you need to get through that. And go back to again, you got to connect. First off, don't navigate that course on your own. There are people in your lives that really care. So connect, and then communicate. Don't communicate based on just all the good things, all the bugaboos, all the peccadillos, all the fears, all the angst. Throw it out there, and then start to collaborate. And collaborate means let's start the game plan. Let's try to figure out some solutions. What's our next best step? Don't think about a year from now or 2 years from now. Oh my God, what am I going to become? Let's think about tomorrow and the day after and build some momentum. Then you start getting, okay, I got a little momentum. Now I want to compete. Right now I want to compete and get out there. In training camp, I feel pretty good about myself. I'm competing with guys from Texas and Oklahoma and all these schools. I'm pretty good. Developing some confidence. Okay, now I want to compete. Right? And then you make the team. Next thing you know, you're a starting receiver or whatever it is, the role you've taken on, and you get a chance to now go out and conquer. And I can't remember scores. I can't remember one score of one football game I played. But ask me about Lonzel Hill, or Wally Zatilny, or Richard Nurse, or Pete Giftopoulos, or Rocket Ishmael, or Mike Clemens, or Earl Whiff. I can go on ad nauseum for an hour listing guys that I am still connected to today.
Wow! Because
of the competition, and because we let football go and we walked away from the game, we are still so deeply connected through those relationships.
Yeah. Who got you through those challenging times?
My dad, my mom, my brother, my sisters. My family was to this day still very close. We didn't have a whole lot. Grew up downtown, Centertown, at the Boys and Girls Club. And we didn't have a whole lot of money, but we didn't know we were poor because we were wealthy through the experiences we had with my mom and my dad and all our friends that we had. It was a great neighborhood. I wouldn't trade it for $1 million. I don't think you have neighborhoods anymore where we're a bunch of meerkats. It's like we're a bunch of meerkats. And if someone from another neighborhood walked down our street, it's like, okay, who the heck is that? Right? You don't have that anymore, that loyalty, that devotion to the people on your block, where you didn't have to worry about curfew. Everybody knew, hey, listen, let the kids can stay out there on summer holidays, stay out till 11 o'clock. Just don't be making noise. Okay? The first time we realized we were poor is when my dad said, hey, we're going trick-or-treating. Come on, everybody get in the car. Well, one Halloween after we already did our area. And he got this idea to take us to Island Park.
Oh, yeah, nice area.
And everybody's got a laneway, and everybody has a tree, right? And you go to the door and trick or treat, and they give you stuff, and they were giving away money. So I said, Dad, holy shit, they're giving away money. So what's going on with that? He says, son, it's called UNICEF. And it's for people who are in need with a lot of poverty. Shit, that's us. And I spent the next year trying to get myself a UNICEF box so I could make some money the next Halloween.
The little orange and black boxes.
Orange and black box, you remember it.
Yeah. Last question. If someone is really hurting right now, maybe it's a CEO whose company is on the brink.
Yeah.
They have thousands of layoffs. Or it's a single mom who lost her gig and doesn't know, we just talked to Marilu about this,
Yeah.
He was in the restaurant business and what's going on there.
Yeah.
So it's a single mom who lost her gig, doesn't know what next. What wisdom would you share in times where things in life look out of control and they seem absolutely devastating?
Number one, I think find your authenticity. And there's a strength there. You may not realize it, but there's a strength there. If you're a CEO and all of a sudden you have to let people go, the CEO is going to learn a lot about what type of leader he or she was based on the response from the people he's letting go. If they say, no, we understand, and you let us, and there's nothing you can do about this. There's nothing you can do to avoid the decision you have to make because of a global pandemic. We trust you, and we've trusted you, and you've led us in a direction that's always kept our interests as priority number one. then that leader can hang their hat on that. For a woman who's losing her job, or a dad who has to come home and feed the kids or whatever, don't make it too, it's a big moment, but begin to let it go and know that everything's going to be okay. Know that you have it within you to get through it, but don't do it alone. There's a lot of people out there who think they have to walk alone, and they don't, because there's so many. It's not like this is a singular issue for one person who just lost their job. I can walk down the street, you can walk down the street, and you're going to meet 50 people who have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, or the day after that, the day after that. And in an ironic type of way, there's a great opportunity for us here to reconnect to some of the things that are really important and to simplify life, right? I'm a father of 3 kids. Work has really been challenged because of this whole global pandemic setback.
I don't even know if there's going to be CFL season.
So there's so many unknowns, and you can dwell on the unknowns, and it's like trying to punch Sugar Ray Leonard in the dark. You're not going to be successful.
No.
So stay away from the unknowns. Focus on what you know. Know what you know, and wake up still grateful, still wanting to love and care, and know that there's going to be a better day. And if it's not tomorrow, know that there's a warrior inside of you that has the ability to get through it. And it's going to get tougher for a lot of people. It really will. Mm-hmm. And there's no overnight solution to this. And we're seeing this in leaders, of countries who are doing a great job. Leaders of some states, Governor Cuomo in New York is doing a great job. But then you see some other leaders, I don't have to mention names, but clearly lack empathy. And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself to stay off of Twitter and stay off of that person to get away from it, because it just again, trying to fight Sugar Ray Leonard in the dark, you're not going to be able to do it.
No. And it's not going to help you.
No.
It's going to bring your vibe down, and it's really, as Marilu, you talked about keeping your vibe high with gratitude, right?
Yeah. Pick your battles. Really pick your battles, because there's it's a big fight right now. Pick your battles. And it's about that, again, an old school coach, and they say, there's no I in team. Well, there is an I in team. Is that invested, inspired, invincible, all those attributes that start with the letter I, that when you're a coach and you can invest in someone and get them to believe in themselves, great things can occur. And, the I in team, I got my 3 kids, and I like to think they're not panicked. They're not worried, and they're having a lot of fun. And again, I have a great ex-wife who's just an amazing person, and we just choose to love and trust.
And gratitude. Thank you for this today. Where do we reach you? You've got a great blog, and that article just rocked my world when I read it last month. So
yeah,
where do we reach you, Ken?
Well, I have a website, kenevraire.com. Ken Evraire, team building, leadership, and coaching. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and so you can find me there as well. And
on Our Nation.
In Our Nation as well, yeah, doing the pregame with Darren Joseph, and covering football. Now, here's the great thing: it doesn't rain every day, and you can't live in regret. I never regretted playing football. I'm donating my brain to science to the Boston University program when I leave this blue marble, but I do so only because you hear stories about guys who sort of go sideways off the rails. And if I ever did, I'd want there to be an explanation.
Yeah. Well, Soupy Campbell, that happened to him.
Yeah.
And Bob McEwen, Fifth Estate, from BBC, he did the same thing. So.
Yeah, I have a big discussion with Bobby, and I see other guys, and it'd be naive of me to think that I can walk through playing all that football and not have to pay a price.
Yeah. Well, I hope you don't.
And,
thank you for this. What a joy to have you. And Marilu, thank you. That was Ken Evraire from his home in Ottawa, and Marilu in downtown Toronto. And that wraps up this show. I hope it helps you watching to have a little hope and to keep moving ahead. We'll be back on Monday with a whole new lineup and a whole new show. Have a great weekend, everybody. Cheers.